In his last weeks in office, Afghan President Hamid Karzai has had some tough words for the United States, and the White House has made clear its displeasure with Mr. Karzai's comments, as well as his refusal to sign a bilateral security agreement.
The BSA spells out the scope of a continued U.S. presence in Afghanistan. One politician who's been involved with Afghanistan from the beginning is, of course, U.S. Senator John McCain. Reporter Najiba Salam from VOA's Dari Service spoke with him about relations between Washington and Kabul. Take a listen.
I'm very sad, not even angry, that President Karzai has behaved the way he has. I make no excuses for him. I wish he'd been much better. But there is some rationale for some of his behavior. I first met President Karzai in 2001 when Bagram had fallen out of Taliban hands. And I've known him many, many times over the intervening years. And I've always had a very good relationship with him. The last election of 2009, he believed that the United States was trying to manipulate it to his detriment in that. So I've seen President Karzai become more and more, in my view, irrational, but there has been a basis for that irrational behavior.
Najiba Salam, in your interview, Senator McCain used the word irrational to describe President Karzai. What do you think he meant by that?
He knows that Afghanistan needs U.S. presence in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is not ready for the U.S. to withdraw completely from Afghanistan. So for President Karzai, he's actually looking for his legacy, for his future, and for his family. And that's why he's not signing, Senator McCain says that he's irrational by not signing the bilateral security agreement.
And yet Senator McCain seemed to also, as well as using this word irrational, he also seemed to be maybe making some apologies almost for President Karzai and some of his actions. It seemed as though the senator was really of two minds on this issue. Was I reading that right?
That was exactly, I felt that that's how it was. He said on one hand, we want him to sign the BSA, but we're not giving him exactly how many troops is going to stay back, and exactly with details what would be their mission. So that really, aggravates him. And Senator McCain says that he has a reason to be upset, to be irrational.
As time passes, by necessity, because of the complexities of planning withdrawal, and it's not just troops, we're talking about equipment and closing of bases, that the mission beyond 2014, should a BSA be signed, would by necessity, if it happens late in the year, be smaller in scale and ambition.
I don't believe that if you tell the enemy again, as the president continues to do, that you are leaving, that it is worthwhile staying for a short period of time. We need a long-term presence, not Americans in combat, without American casualties, that we need a long-term presence just as we've had in Korea, Japan, other countries around the world.
Do you think Afghans want a long-term U.S. presence in Afghanistan?
For as long as they need. I believe right now there is a lot of concerns among the civil societies, among women especially. They are really concerned that if the United States leave Afghanistan, the same thing will happen. Taliban will come and take over, insurgency will rise, and then that's why a lot of people, and especially Senator McCain mentioned about these 11 presidential candidates, that he watched actually the televised debate that they had, that he was so happy to hear from them that each one of them says that we will sign the bilateral security agreement and we want the need of the United States for a long time. Do
the Afghan forces and Afghan leadership adequately trust the U.S. forces and leadership, do you think?
I'm not quite sure about that, but I know for sure that they definitely need assistance. They definitely need that U.S. assistance as far as monetary assistance, as far as any kind of training assistance. They need that. They will not. As if you ask any Afghan whether Afghan security forces are ready to defend their country, they will tell you no.
That was VOA Dari Service reporter Najiba Salam talking with On Assignment's Doug Bernard. Afghanistan's April election could be historic, paving the way for the country's first ever peaceful democratic transfer of power.